welcome to the July edition of the Greyhound Month. I'm standing outside the headquarters of the NGRC at Camden Town, and a bit later on the tape I'll be speaking to Geoffrey Thomas regarding all the main issues that are about in the sport at the moment. We've got some terrific action for you from Ireland, the Irish Laurels, plus of course the Champion Stakes from Romford coming up a bit later on, but we're going to begin with the circuit at Walthamstow over 475 metres.
And here in the first semi-final, the favourite was the locally trained Trap 6 runner, Slippery Hunter. Early elimination from the Derby, bit of a shock bat, but well fancied here for his semi-final. 11 to 10 on favourite, perfectly drawn in Trap 6. Another perfectly drawn dog, Bonnie 7 on the comeback trail for his new trainer, John Simpson.
They're off and running and racing up towards the first bend. First to show, Trap 6, Slippery Hunter ahead of Trap 1, Bonnie 7 just heading the pack as they go around the first couple of bends. Trap 1, Bonnie 7 moving a bit wide around that second bend, and Slippery Hunter still out in front from Bonnie 7. Racing in third now is Curry Hill's Queen as they approach the second last bend, and it's still Slippery Hunter by 2 lengths from Bonnie 7, who's trying hard to close the deficit. Curry Hill's Queen in a prominent position. As they come off the final bend, it's going to be all Slippery Hunter who's made all the running here. Pillar to post victory for Slippery Hunter. Bonnie 7 just holds Curry Hill's Queen for second place.
Well, an impressive run there by Slippery Hunter, winning by 1 3/4 lengths from Bonnie 7, who also ran well in a good 28.77. Curry Hill's Queen qualified for the final in third position. On now to the second semi-final, and Charlie Lister had a strong hand in this event. He had the favourite in Just Right Kyle, perfectly drawn in Trap 1, and Simply Free, his very impressive bitch, is in Trap 2, second best in the market at 4 to 1. But don't discount the local dog, Magical Piper.
Away they go and racing up towards the first bend. Bit of trouble there as Magical Piper came out right, but leads in the early exchanges to go around the first bend. Magical Piper, the leader. Bit of trouble on the inside there involving the favourite Trap 1, Just Right Carl. As they head down the far side, Magical Piper only 2 lengths clear now from 6. Handsome Henry getting on terms, 2 lengths back to 4, racing in third. That's Castle Irons Joe as they go around the second last bend. But Magical Piper finds a bit more in reserve and kicks again, runs wide off the final turn. But Magical Piper wins it from Handsome Henry. And running on into third there was Lions Double.
So Magical Piper takes it from Trap 3. Ran wide on the run-up, didn't he? 28.75 though, the winning time, just a bit faster than Slippery Hunter, and beats Handsome Henry by 3 lengths. On now to the final, they made Slippery Hunter favourite, all 5 wide runners, because Bonnie 7 didn't take his place. He has found to be slightly lame, was withdrawn from Trap 1. So Magical Piper in 2, 2 to 1, second best. Slippery Hunter made the 6 to 4 favourite from Trap 4.
Away we go then for the final of the circuit, and racing up towards the first bend, Magical Piper in 2, coming towards the middle of the track but leading in the early exchanges. To go around the first 2 bends then, it's Magical Piper out in front from 5. Lions Double getting the good run up on the inside of Trap 3 there, which was Handsome Henry. Heading down the far side, Magical Piper leading Lions Double. A gap back to Handsome Henry as they go around the second last bend, and Lions Double just checked there. Magical Piper poaches another half-length lead, but here comes Lions Double, game as always. Lions Double staying on too strong for Magical Piper. Lions Double wins the circuit from Magical Piper, and these two were well clear of the third, which was Handsome Henry.
Well, a very game run there by Lions Double. Checked at the third bend, thought he'd lost his chance, but he came again to beat Magical Piper by half a length. 28.95 the winning time. Handsome Henry figuring again in some big finals, back in third. Up now to Manchester for the Bellevue track for the Northern Flat Championship. Semi-final stages. In Trap 1 in the first semi-final is an odds-on favourite in Tremora Mare. Norman Johnson, strong running dog, perfectly drawn in Trap 1. Let's see how he gets on.
They're running for the Northern Flat Championship semi-final, and Trap 5 showing good pace to the bend. That's Active Summer. Trap 1, Tremora Mayer looking for a path round on the inside there. Just getting slightly crowded from Trap 3, making headway on the outside. 6, Hazelwood Blade. So head down the far side. Active Summer being tackled by Hazelwood Blade. A gap back to 3, which is Kennyswell Celts, and then comes Tremora Mayer. So they go round the final turn, and it's still Active Summer who has the call. Tremora Mayer eating up the ground in 1. Up towards the line. Active Summer holds on by a length and a half from back in second, Tremora Mayer.
Well, there were some excuses for the odds-on favourite there at the first bend, but Active Summer looked quite impressive. A nice early pace display by that one, winning at 6 to 1 in a good 27.99. So no luck for the odds-on favourite there, but let's see if Norman Johnson's other favourite can win the second semi-final. That's Tom's Lodge, anti-post jolly for the whole competition. He had a tricky-looking draw in Trap 3, but they still made him even money favourite.
Away we go then for the second semi-final. Away best of all was Trap 2, being joined by 3 as they come into the first bend then. And it's Trap 2, Danny Court, who's been passed now by 3, Tom's Lodge. And Tom's Lodge quickens up down that far side very impressively. Goes 4 lengths clear from Danny Court in second. After these racing in third is 6, Attitude Problem. Approaching the second last bend, and it's still 3 out in front. Tom's Lodge with this comfortable 4-length cushion over 6, Attitude Problem. So they race up towards the line. A very impressive display here from Tom's Lodge. Wins it from Attitude Problem. Quite close for third.
Well, third in the end went to Joe's Green. A very impressive performance there by Tom's Lodge. 6 1/4 lengths the winning distance. 27.74 flying time round Bellevue, that for Tom's Lodge. And no surprise to see him odds-on favourite for the final. 13-8 on favourite, drawn in Trap 2. A perfect draw. He's outside his slow-starting kennel mate, Tremora Mayer, who's second best in the market at 7-2. Active Summer, the only other one in single figures.
Away we go, and 4 foot perfect at the boxes. Joe's Green leads early, but here comes Tom's Lodge in too, showing devastating early to lead at the first turn. And Tom's Lodge goes round in front then, a couple of lengths clear from 3. Active Summer racing in second, a gap back to the others, heading down the far side. And again, it's the middle pace of Tom's Lodge. It keeps him 4 lengths clear from Active Summer. 1, Tremora Mayer trying to stay on as they go around the second last bend, but the odds-on favourite out in front, well clear as well. Up towards the winning line, it's going to be Tom's Lodge who's going to win the Northern Flat. Tom's Lodge wins it a distance clear from 3. Active Summer in second. And it was close for third.
It's been a faultless performance by Tom's Lodge throughout the competition. I wonder if he can go on to emulate last year's winner, Selene Castle, and who knows, reach the final of a derby next year. 27.59, a blinding time there by Tom's Lodge. On now to Way Plastics Tony Stanton Memorial at Wimbledon, over 480 metres of a derby trip, and a derby favourite, the vanquished derby favourite, was 2-1 on favourite here in Trap 1 in the first semi-final. Watch out for the locally trained Pearl's Girl, who has a blinding turn of early from Trap 4.
Away they go, and Trap 4, Pearl's Girl out like a flash as they run up towards the first bend. A bit tight there for Greenane Squire on the rails. All sorts of problems at the first bend for the Jolly, and Pearl's Girl has got this 4-length advantage over Greenane Squire in one. After this is racing in third, 6, Parkey Paddy as they head down towards the second last bend. It's still Pearl's Girl. She's got this 3-length lead, although Greenane Squire's trying to close all the time as they come off the final bend for the Way Plastic semi, and it's going to be Pearl's Girl who's going to win this one by 3 lengths in the end from Greenane Squire in second. And running on into third, that was Parkey Paddy.
Well, a foot-perfect performance there by Pearl's Girl. Lots of excuses for Greenane Squire. And Parkey Paddy, who you might have known as Bangor Mick, he reached semi-finals of a derby, finished in third place. 28.84. On now to the second semi-final. Another Parkey dog here, Parkey Pride in 2, but he's one of the outsiders. Joint favourites in Colorado Green and Coast is Clear. Both had their derby glory over this trip. And Magical Piper, we've seen just been running very well in the circuit. He was very close up in the market as well.
Away we go, and racing up towards the first bend, 3, Colorado Green, and also 6 there, Coast is Clear, break well as they run into the first bend. Coast is Clear and Colorado Green tussling for the lead at the moment, moving up on the outside in 5. That's Magical Piper going down the far side, and it's now 3, Colorado Green, who quickens up past Coast is Clear. Then comes racing in third, Magical Piper, and after these comes Parkey Pride as they come off the final turn. It's going to be Colorado Green's going to win this one by 2.5 lengths. Colorado Green gets there in the end from Coast is Clear, who stayed on for second place. It was quite close for third.
Yes, a good win for Colorado Green. A bit of a course specialist, this one, trained by Litzy Miller down at Oxford. So he justifies 9-4 joint favouritism. The time slightly slower than the first semi-final. Magical Piper disappointed slightly, as he has done at Wimbledon in the past. On now to the final, and very close in the betting here between the 1 and 2 dog. Pearl's Girl 6-4, but they've just made Greenane Squire favourite at 11-10. Looked a tricky draw for him though, bearing in mind the blinding early pace that Pearl's Girl's got and the form she's in at the moment.
And they're off for the Tony Stanton Memorial. Big prize for this race, and 1, Pearl's Girl, flashes out of the boxes early. Greenane Squire going off in chase in second. In fact, just checking off wide there in 2 as they head down the far side, and Pearl's Girl with a 3-length lead over 2, Greenane Squire. After these, Coast is Clear in 6. They approach the second last bend. Pearl's Girl still the length lead, and Greenane Squire is trying all the time to cut this deficit as they come off the final bend, but Pearl's Girl still has the advantage as they rain up towards the winning line. Pearl's Girl extending it to 2 lengths or so. Pearl's Girl wins it from 2. Greenane Squire in second. Back in third was Coast is Clear.
Well, I'll take nothing away from Pearl's Girl, but you have to feel sorry for Greenhane Squire. Yet again the bridesmaid at Wimbledon, the major final. Let's hear now from Geoffrey Thomas, Deputy Secretary of the NGRC. He's talking to Errol Blythe.
Geoffrey, could you explain to our viewers what are the long-term aims of the British Greyhound Trust Fund?
There really is only one main objective of the Trust, and that is to actually improve the greyhound racing industry in all its different forms.
Well, where does the money come from? Where is it collected from, and how is it collected?
The money is collected from every off-course bookmaker. 0.25% of all their turnover on greyhound racing was directed towards the Greyhound Trust. Now clearly the vast majority of bookmakers are paying that, but certain bookmakers, because it's only voluntary, are still not paying, and effectively the Trust sends out a request for money to each of those bookmakers.
Can anything more be done to chase up those bookmakers?
Well, obviously we're trying all the time. Lord Kimball, the chairman, is putting personal pressure where appropriate. Regular reminders are sent out, and we've even involved the all-party parliamentary greyhound group, who are actually writing to bookmakers in their area and saying, have you paid the greyhound fund?
All right. Now, £830,000 was the first amount to be allocated to greyhound racing and the various schemes. Could you identify where the money went on that first proportion?
Okay. Of the first 830,000, the main part, the majority part, went on chromatography and integrity services for the tracks. Chromatography has always been an important part of this sport, and the fund felt that they should support it. So something approaching £250,000 went in direct grants to that. The other aspect of integrity was the whole question of the flying squad and the random drug testing programme, and something approaching £200,000 went to the NGRC for that purpose. Obviously track projects accounted for a certain amount of money, nearing 150,000. The Retired Greyhound Trust got about 40,000, and obviously prize money became the other aspect. That got a £100,000 immediate grant and a £50,000 grant for the Intertrack competition, which starts soon.
I think a lot of people were surprised that 250,000, the figure bandied about for chromatography, because it's a system that people feel as though that there are faults in. Now, the money that's been spent for the chromatography looks to have just keep the system going how it is. There's no money allocated for further improvements into the system.
I think that's something that everybody accepts must be looked at. We've got chromatography at the moment. It does work. It's the system that we've had for a fairly long time now, you're quite right, but it's the system that's in place at the moment, and it's our job to make that most effective. But it's fair to say that there are proposals that people are looking for ways of chromatography making it better, more effective, developing it all the time. Clearly, Newmarket, our forensic laboratory, are involved in that process, and it's something, it's going to take time. We don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We want to keep chromatography while it's there at the moment, but it's obviously something that's going to be looked to be developed all the time.
Geoffrey, only £1 million has come to light with the trust fund at the moment. Is this a good thing for greyhound racing? Because if bookmakers can't pay on a voluntary basis the money that's been released by the Chancellor, then surely it makes a better case for a statutory levy.
I think there's two ways of looking at this. One way, and I think we can legitimately say this anyway, looking at the trouble that we've had getting the money off some bookmakers, is to say, well, look, if you had made this statutory, if we did have a levy scheme with statutory backing, as is with horse racing, that money would come in. The other way of looking at it is saying, well, in effect, with the funders set up, we have almost set up a greyhound levy board, something to receive money from the off-course industry and to distribute money to the sport. I think it's legitimate that we could turn around and say, well, we've set up this from scratch, the industry and the bookmakers are working together, and maybe you could argue that this should be a precursor to something equivalent to a greyhound racing levy board.
Are we going to get into the situation where money comes into the fund, yet it's not all given out in that year? Is there going to be like money saved for a rainy day?
I think there's a difference between money saved for a rainy day and just storing it up for profit, which is nobody's intention, and keeping a certain amount of money aside, very much earmarked for development. You've talked about possible developments in the whole area of of testing, of chromatography. Other areas of development that have been mooted, and indeed I can say that a £5,000 grant, a feasibility grant, has been given to look at the whole question of a computerised form bank system for the sport. Now, whether that goes ahead or not, I don't know, but the fund have indicated that's an area that they would like to see and like to have a look at developing, and they obviously want to keep a certain amount of development money behind for that sort of area.
After the £830,000 was bandied about and the money allocated, all of a sudden Burgess Darver came up with his magical wand and said, look, there's more money in the pot. Were the NGRC surprised that this money suddenly materialised when there was quite a lot of flack in the papers saying, well, £830,000, that's not enough?
Certainly the chief executive of the NGRC BGRB, Archie Newhouse, who is on the fund board, his recollection is that kind of figure, there was no mention of that kind of figure at the last full board meeting. So two things really. One, it was perhaps somewhat of a surprise, but the other fact is, of course, it was quite a pleasant surprise, because it meant that we could go back to the drawing board and, in particular in prize money terms, get an extra £200,000 for prize money for the final 4 months of 1993. So I think the sport reacted very quickly to the news and got its bid in, and that bid has been accepted.
Just talking briefly about the prize money, it's been allocated in a sort of level system where a stadium that allocates quite a lot of prize money anyway will get the cream, as to say. Is this right? Don't you think it would have been fairer to say, well, we have so much money, every track gets the same?
Well, we've got the meeting to look at prize money for 1994 and a bid to the fund for 1994 on the 17th of this month. And clearly within that, obviously trainers are represented, owners, track promoters. There are a variety of different views. It's up to us to sort of sit down and to look at a reasonable compromise. There are those that think prize money should go to the places that don't pay quite as much prize money at the moment to sort of raise the level up. Other people say, well, that really is discriminatory against those racecourses that do put a lot in at the moment. I tend to think that the example that we've gone for this year, which is that the first 100,000 was split very much on a pro rata basis, and the second 200,000 on a banded basis, that possibly was a bit more recognised that there are some smaller tracks, and gave them a reasonably good deal. I know some people would say they'd still like to see more, might well be the way forward. I think it's a case of compromise and talking and then agreeing something.
And can the British Greyhound Racing Fund go from strength to strength?
I think it can. Obviously everybody concentrates a lot on distribution. I think the area that really still needs developing is on the mechanism of actually getting the money in. Obviously it's a big administrative job. Obviously it didn't help by the fact that this money wasn't made statutory, but we would like to think that everybody can see that the money has gone for good purposes, that it's thoroughly accountable, and that all the motivation a bookmaker needs to pay to the fund is actually there. I think we'll just have to wait and see.
And we'll hear more from Geoffrey Thomas later on as Errol quizzes him about the open race calendar. On now to some more action though. The Coral Champion Stakes final at Romford worth £10,000 for winner. Joint favourites here in First Name Bart and Foreign Canary. And very close up at the betting also we'll see Nick Savor trained Westmead Surprise.
Away we go, and trap 2, Polnoon Wood blasts out of the boxes, followed by Westmead Surprise. Bat Street Ernie trying to make ground up on the inside, and something's taken a tumble there. That was Droopy's Evelyn as they go into the straight for the first time then. And out in front is Polnoon Wood, and setting a scorching pace. Bat Street Ernie's managed to grab second at the moment with Westmead Surprise. After these racing in fourth, we've got Foreign Canary and First Name Bart heading down the far side. And it's still up front, Polnoon Wood, but Westmead Surprise has got past Bat Street Ernie. First Name Bart also trying to close to come off the final bend, and Polnoon Wood only a length clear. Here comes Westmead Surprise. Oh, Westmead Surprise is going to get there from the faltering Polnoon Wood, close home and back in third. Well, that was First Name Bart.
Oh dear, poor old Polnoon Wood, so often the runner-up. You've got to feel for his connections, but a great run there by Westmead Surprise to win it in 36.05. First Name Bart also finished strongly to finish in the frame. On now to one of the best supporting races on the night, the Future Champion Stakes. over the standard 4-bend trip of 400 metres, £1,000 to the winner, very tight in the betting, and often a very tight race as well.
The running in 6 Public Appeal is very fast away, along with trap 2, that's Highway Leader. As they go into the first bend, they're quite well bunched up here and going down the far side. Public Appeal just nudged out sideways. Trap 1 takes up the lead now. Woodside Trixie, Public Appeal in more trouble up the back. They're bunching up again as they approach the third bend, but Woodside Trixie just still has the slight advantage, quickens up again. Woodside Trixie leading from Advanced Party and Highway Leader up towards the line. And Woodside Trixie just gets there in the end from Advanced Party and Highway Leader back in third.
Well, a rather messy race, wasn't it? Woodside Trixie using the advantage of the rails there to win at 8-1, beating Advanced Party, who looked unlucky in running, and Highway Leader. 25.09 on 20 slow, nothing special for time, winning distance 3/4 of a length. Back now to the 6 bends again. Let's have a look at the Tiberius Kensant Ledger down at Ramsgate. Often a very good competition, and it is again this year. First semi-final, Heavenly Lady was sent off a 5-4 favourite, but she wasn't going to have things all her own way.
They're often running and racing up towards the first to 6 bends, then a 1 Chaos gets a lovely break to lead up early. So they run into that first bend and 1 Chaos out in front from 4 Merlin's Roy, going off in chase in second. As they come round the second bend, then 1 Chaos with a 3-length advantage over Merlin's Roy. Racing in third is Heavenly Lady. As they go out onto the final circuit, it's still Chaos with his 2-length advantage. Merlin's Roy sticking to the rails well, just still some 2 lengths behind Chaos though. Heavenly Lady trying to improve. So they approach the second last bend and Chaos still has this useful 3-length lead. Merlin's Roy and Heavenly Lady just tangling slightly at the penultimate bend, and this allows Chaos to go clear again. Heavenly Lady finally gets past Merlin's Roy, so it's going to be Chaos wins it, Heavenly Lady second, and Merlin's Roy just hang on there for third spot.
An electric break there by Chaos gave him that race. He won at 9-2, 40-12 for time, beating Heavenly Lady and Merlin's Roy. Second semi-final saw a very hot favourite indeed. John McGee's recent recruit, Lockbow Anchor, 11-4 on favourite in only a 5-runner race. He occupied trap 3, a strong staying dog, but also shows some early pace as well.
Away we go, and trap 2 breaks fast. That's 8 the meet, but already being joined by 3 Lockbow Anchor, and Lockbow Anchor's early pace goes on now from 8 the meet in second. After these running a bit wide at that bend is Hillview Sand in 4 and trying to nip through on the inside 1 Summer Choice. They're on the final circuit, and Lockbow Anchor building up a useful looking lead as they head down the far side for the final time. Lockbow Anchor at least 5 lengths clear, maybe 6 lengths clear of 1 Summer Choice in second. Moving into third now is Hillview Sand. Second last bend, and it's still Lockbow Anchor. Timed the break quite well, led at the first bend, just beginning to come back to the field slightly, up towards the winning line. Lockbow Anchor wins this by 3.5 lengths. Lockbow Anchor the winner, Summer Choice in second, Hillview Sand back in third.
Well, a very powerful display there by John McGee's Lockbow Anchor. Wins it in 39.87. That's faster than the first semi-final. Summer Choice and Hillview Sand qualify for the final. On now to the final, no surprise to see Lockbow Anchor the even money favourite. However, he is trickily drawn in trap 3, and they made Heavenly Lady, of course, heroine of many big events already this year, including the TV Trophy and the Golden Jacket. She was second best in the market in trap 4. Here are the 2 main protagonists. That's Lockbow Anchor, a strapping white dog, isn't he? And there's Heavenly Lady, in total contrast, of course, a black bitch. Let's see how they get on in the £4,000 final.
Away we go, and racing up towards the first bend, Hillview Sand in 6 broke well, but look at trap 4, Heavenly Lady showing good pace to the bend, and they're all in trouble there. Trap 3 suffered the worst, and trap 3 being Lockbow Anchor as they go into the straight for the first time, and Heavenly Lady out clear. It's going to have to be a good dog who's going to pick this one up. Heavenly Lady already some 4 or 5 lengths clear from Merlin's Roy, racing in second, going down the far side, then Heavenly Lady leading from Merlin's Roy. Lockbow Anchor's running up into 4th position behind a trap 5, which is Chaos as they approach the second last bend, but Heavenly Lady has got this one safely wrapped up. It's another big prize here for Linda Mullins with Heavenly Lady. She's been so consistent this year. Heavenly Lady then wins the Kent St. Ledger. Getting up to be second in the end was Hillview Sand. Merlin's Roy back in third.
Well, it was curtains for the favourite Lockbow Anchor at the first bend. Heavenly Lady beat Hillview Sand. That was the same forecast as in the TV Trophy earlier this year. Merlin's Roy in third. Well done, Heavenly Lady. On now to the Puppy Championship final, sponsored by the Trap Bookmakers at Ramsgate that day. Very similar to the Future Champion Stakes. Lots of good dogs usually enter this race. And yet again, it was quite a tight betting heat. 2-1 favourite Highway Leader. He had the benefit of the rails pitch.
Away they go and racing up towards the first bend. Trap 3 down the line, breaks very well ahead of 1. Highway Leader, Public Appeal prominent there, and Trap 3 gets knocked sideways there. So 1, Highway Leader's the new leader from down the line, who's being picked up by Trap 6, Public Appeal. Also there is 4, Lots of Jolly, as they approach the second last bend and go round it. And now 1, Highway Leader has Public Appeal to worry about on the outside. It runs off there, Public Appeal, but coming again up towards line. Public Appeal staying 2 to Highway Leader's 1. Public Appeal wins it then from Highway Leader in second, and down the line got up to be third.
Well, Public Appeal gaining some compensation for his unlucky defeat in the Future Champion Stakes at Romford, and wins it well. Now let's go and rejoin Errol Blythe with Geoffrey Thomas at the NGRC.
Geoffrey, moving on to the open race calendar, have you been satisfied with the new system of category 1, 2 and 3 races?
Speaking personally, the thing that I've enjoyed being part of, as much as anything since I've come here, as getting the system up and running for the open races and the categories 1, 2s and 3s and the way we do things at the moment. I think it's brought a lot of coherence to the sport, and out of quite a chaotic situation we've brought something together, and this is the key thing. It's involved the whole industry working together to something that might not be perfect but certainly is a lot better than what it was.
Do you think we're getting bogged down with perhaps too many minor open races at the moment?
That, I think, is an interesting question, and I think it's the next area that possibly the committee might want to look at, and that's the question of perhaps bringing some order to the admittedly chaotic minor open race scene at the moment. There's 1 or 2 ideas that are floating around that clearly I can't say anything about at the moment, but I think it's an area that does need looking at.
Could that committee flex its muscles regarding prize money? Because we've had the interesting situation recently where NAGO have told their members not to enter greyhounds for a certain race, and basically because the also-ran money was very poor. Is there any way that the committee could say, well, look, could you change your sponsor's attitude to prize money, and yet eventual winning prize maybe being reduced slightly?
I think there's a couple of things that are important there. Everybody seems to have a different opinion on prize money. Some people do seem to like a big winning prize and perhaps less paid to the also-rans. Other people think it should be far more evenly distributed. One has to bear that in mind. The second point is that generally we've thrown things open to the free market, and we've said, well, you put on what you think, you distribute roughly how you think, not always, but roughly how you think, and see which method you find the best, because people will enter where they want to enter and not enter where they don't want to enter.
What about minor opens at places like Rye House and a few other smaller tracks where prize money is only £75? Is there no way that the NGRC can wield a stick and say, you're going to stage a minor open race, it's got to be at least £100 to the winner?
Well, there is that there at the moment, and there are minimum rates for open races at the moment, and in London those are a minimum of £150, and in the provinces those are a minimum of £100. So unless I'm mistaken, and I'm not going to look now, I thought the rates were a minimum of 150 and 100.
All right, I'm sure you'll find that probably that might be money put in as a whole for the race.
Yes, that's right. Yes, that's right.
Yes, I mean,
You're talking about prize to the winner.
Prize to the winner, because
yes.
I believe that if a greyhound can run at Wimbledon and earn 120, 130 for a top grade, why leave the sanctuary of Wimbledon and go off to Rye House to race against other open race greyhounds and only receive £75?
That's a good question, because it does seem as though the rate between a decent top class graded event at a major track and a minor open race at another is very minimal indeed. But again, one has to say, well, if there isn't the demand there, if the prize money doesn't come up to standards and people don't want to enter the race, then they won't do it. But if people are still entering, it means that demand is actually there.
Right, let's move on to the Stainforth prize, which was put across the papers that there was a sponsor there who wanted to put up £40,000 for a Northern Derby. Yes, it was over 6 weeks, but for some reason, and for the laws or the rules of the calendar, it seems as though this race is not going to go ahead. Why?
I feel quite strongly about this on behalf not only of me, but really on behalf of the actual committee. And bear in mind, it's not an NGRC committee, it's a whole industry committee. these rules were set up not by us, but by actually mainly a group of promoters who sat together and thought, well, how best do we want to manage the sport to make the best use of the greyhounds? So I think the main thing to say is we didn't turn down Stainforth sponsorship. Of course we want sponsorship. £40,000 would be absolutely brilliant. But it did seem to the committee to be more a case of saying, well, unless we get the conditions, unless we get special treatment compared with everybody else, compared with Reading, who run their Masters, which is going to be worth £30,000–35,000 next year, unless we get special treatment, we're going to withdraw. And there was an element that was a little bit unsavoury, I thought.
So has the prize been lost for good, or could it come about next year?
I think there's a couple of things there. We've said to Stainforth, please put on the race. We'll help you try and find a slot. We'll be as accommodating we can on things like trial races. I mean, that's a way of making the competition spread out. Put some trial races on. Find a slot. We'll help you find a slot that will mean that you stand the best chance of getting the best greyhounds, and then perhaps ask the committee not just whether Stainforth Derby, the Yorkshire Derby, can have special treatment, but say where any race worth over a certain amount of money might be allowed to run an extra week. I mean, it's not really for me to say whether that would be viewed sympathetically or not, but it would be nice to think that the sponsor could go ahead, the race could go ahead, and then Stainforth could sit down with the committee and work out how things might go in the future.
We've had a couple of category races cancelled recently. I'm not sure if they were category 1 or 2. Sussex Cup, very prestigious race. There was another champion hurdle, I think, was to be staged for the first time up in Sunderland. Both cancelled now. Can anything be done to perhaps put the promoters in line and say you just can't do this at short notice?
Clearly we're in a time of recession, and in all good faith, sponsorships could get signed, sealed, and just for some reason they don't get delivered. Somebody has to pull out for commercial reasons. It would be very difficult to try and put punitive measures on for somebody in all good faith who's trying to put on a race. What we do say is that if you apply for a Category 1 race and it doesn't take place 1 year, when it comes for you applying for the next year, consideration of that will be taken into account.
And is there going to be any significant changes to the open race calendar, let's say, for next year?
Obviously, it's a bit early to say. We're getting the Category 1 races. We've just written out for tracks to put forward their Category 2 races. There always seems to be some small alterations, some new races. For instance, we talked about Stainforth. They've actually got a Yorkshire St Leger coming in, so that's going to be a new race. I do think this year, when the Category 1, 2s and 3s are in, there will be time for the Open Race Planning Committee to meet again to discuss what's happened about Stainforth. I'm aware that there's certain owners groups who also would like to meet with the committee to discuss some ideas, perhaps on this whole question of minor open races, as you've talked about, and about minimum levels of prize money. So I think there is time to review it. We've been going nearly 3 years now with this system, and as you say, fine-tuning whatever you want, I think we ought to sit back and look at it.
More from Geoffrey Thomas later about the evening opening of betting shops. Over now to Ireland, though, for the Irish Laurels, 3 semi-finals, and the first of which had Ballygroban Bill in Trap 1 as a 6-4 favourite, but strongly challenged in the market by Trade Union. He used to be trained over here by Pa Fitzgerald. He was 2-1 in Trap 4.
Away we go, and 3 colourway dancers just best away from the boxes, but they're going up together here, up towards the first bend. The favourites towards the back, though, Ballygroban Bill, and checks off as well, so the favourites done with surely. Down the far side, and 2, Raybogue Dale goes on now from 4, Trade Union in second. After these comes 5, Castle Lions Euros. They go round the second last bend, and it's still Raybogue Dale out in front with this 2-length lead. Trade Union trying hard to get on terms, moving out wide. It's Trap 5. Does it come off the final bend, though, and it's going to be 2. Raybogue Dale is just going to last home. Raybogue Dale hangs on here from Castle Lions Euro, who finished well.
Game run there by the winner, but Trade Union just loses out to the late surge of Castle Lions Euro. Only 2 through to the final. 29.58 for time, half a length twice. On now to the second semi-final, and Dive for Gold was made favourite in Trap 1 at 5-4. If only they knew what we knew now. List Glass Lass was in Trap 2, an offer at 3-1. What a big price that proved to be.
Away they go, and trap 2, Liz Glass Lass out like a bullet, but heading wide, it has to be said, as they go up towards that first bend. Trap 2, Liz Glass Lass out in front from 6, who runs off a bit there. Supplement as they go down the far side, and 2, it's Liz Glass Lass out in front, some 3 lengths clear from Supplement in second as they approach the second last bend. Electric Trapper is Liz Glass Lass, and she's still out in front with this 2.5 length lead. In fact, she's increasing that all the time as they come off the final turn. She's running wide again, but Liz Glass Lass is going to win this one. 4 lengths clear from 6 in second, Supplement.
Well, that was mightily impressive there by Liz Glass Lass. I don't think if she was running at Wimbledon, the Derby should be allowed to remain a railer, though. But a superb time, 28.98. Supplement finished 4 lengths second and qualifies for the final. On now to the third and final semi-final of the Irish Laurels over 480 metres at Cork. Favourite here in trap 1, Crease Star, was made 2-1. Centre-back, also well fancied in the market. He occupied the striped jacket. And watch out for Maseta Mountain, last year's beaten favourite in trap 4.
Away we go, and trap 5, Citizen Rascal, just going across 6 at the boxes there. So they run up towards the first bend, but Citizen Rascal's got a bit of pace as they go around the first 2 bends. Some 4 or 5 lengths clear. Going off in chase in second is trap 6, centre back, as they head down the far side. And Citizen Rascal with his 4-length lead over centre back in second. Racing in third at the moment, we've got trap 1, Crease Star, the favourite, as they go around the second last bend. And it's still Citizen Rascal out in front. But look at the ground that trap 6 has made up. Centre back, and centre back's going to get up on the line. Centre back wins it from Citizen Rascal in second place.
Well, a brilliant early pace showing there by Citizen Rascal. Just couldn't hold on, though. Half a length the winning distance. And he did qualify for the final, Citizen Rascal. 29.24. Maseta Mountain, no chance of getting to the final again. Got some awful trouble on the run to the bend. On now to the final then, £10,000 to the winner. Liz Glass Lass in trap 2 again. That could cause some trouble. Was made the 5-4 favourite. Centre back, next best in the market. He was perfectly drawn in trap 6.
They're running for the final of the Irish Laurels, and 2, Liz Glass Lass, the favourite, not so fast away, but she's moved middle again. So they run up towards that first bend. Bit of crowding there, bit of jostling. 6 was hampered. So they go down the far side, and it's now trap 1 out in front, but trap 1, Raybogue Dale, being taken on by Liz Glass Lass on the far side. Liz Glass Lass goes on from Raybogue Dale. There's a gap back to the rest. They come round the second last bend, and Liz Glass Lass showing her class. She's pulling away from Raybogue Dale. Running on again into third is centre back as they run up towards the winning line. It's going to be Liz Glass Lass who wins it from Raybogue Dale, who finished second, and back in third. Well, that was centre back.
Well, that was really sensational, wasn't it? She caused her own trouble on the run to the bend, but managed to recover and win by 6 lengths, even faster than her semi-final time, 28.97. Raybogue Dale and centre-back put well and truly in their places behind her. Well, on now to another race on final night. In fact, it's a consolation final. We can see Trade Union going through his paces here. He's in trap 3. And as we expect from him, he's got a good pace of early, a good show of early. He goes to the first bend, slightly in trouble there, jostling with the trap 2 runner, Magnetic Ocean. And maybe you'd have thought that his doubtful staying ability will be tested here. But he's stretched out 2 or 3 lengths clear coming into the third bend, and he is going to hold on from Magnetic Ocean, who runs a good race in second, and it's a trap 1 runner, Crease Star, that runs on to finish third. But Trade Union wins that race well, and from Magnetic Ocean in second, and a good time as well, 29.12 for Trade Union. Well, the next port of call for Trade Union, and in fact Liz Glass Lass, was the FIBO Champion Stakes at Shelbourne, a very classy competition, and the Lass was seeded for this one. She had the trap 6 slot here and 5-4 favourite. Second best in the market was Daly's Dennis, anti-post favourite for the English Derby until his elimination at the second round.
Away they go, and trap 2, Daly's Dennis breaks best of all from Hatton Dancer in 1, moving up on the outside in 6th. That's Liz Glass Lass as they run round the first 2 bends. The fight is on between Daly's Dennis and Liz Glass Lass. These 2 at least 3 lengths clear from 1, heading the pack. That's Hatton Dancer going down the far side, and now Daly's Dennis just forges on by half a length. Liz Glass Lass, though, not done with. She's coming again, and she really runs that third bend well. Liz Glass Lass now goes on from Daly's Dennis, and Daly's Dennis has got no more to give. Liz Glass Lass just forging on now, 1.5 clear. Liz Glass Lass wins it from Daly's Dennis in second.
Well, a good run from Liz Glass Lass, but don't forget Daly's Dennis had been off for a while before that race, and he put in a great performance, especially as he stumbled going into the third bend. The time, nothing special, but the going has been a bit slow at Shelbourne at week 30.50. On now to Heat 2, and here we can see Nikita Sand, another dog that contested the English Derby, was one-time favourite for it, was in trap 3 here at 6-4. Trade Union, just seen him of course at Cork, he's in trap 5, he's 7-2.
Away we go, and trap 5, Trade Union breaks best of all as they race into the first bend. Home Troops in 1, trying to take second place as they come off round the second bend, and now 5, Trade Union has a 3-length advantage over Home Troops in second. There's a gap back to trap 4, Dive for Gold as they head down towards the second last bend, and Trade Union still out in front, but Home Troops has done a lot of running between 2 and 3, although taking the bend better is trap 5, Trade Union, still with this 2-length lead over Home Troops. Gap back to the rest as they come up towards the winning line, and Trade Union is holding Home Troops. Trade Union wins it by a couple from Home Troops in second.
Well, that was a much improved staying display there by Trade Union. He wins it by 2 lengths from Home Troops. Of course, used to be a John McGee. Dive for Gold in third. 30.60 the time. That's 10 spots slower than List Glass Lass. On now to Heat 3. Some more famous names here, especially from this side of the Irish Sea. New Level is 5-2 favourite in trap 5. Bellygroma Bill, he was beaten favourite in the Cork semi-finals. And Barefoot Dash in trap 1, also well fancied.
Away we go, and trap 5 gets a very good break on the outside. That's New Level, but already joined by Barefoot Dash on the run towards the first bend, and Barefoot Dash just heads New Level, heading down the far side. The gloves are off here. It's going to be Barefoot Dash, still has the call by a length now from New Level in second. There's a gap back to racing in third. That's trap 2, Lodgefield Gold, as they go around the second last bend, and it's still off front. Barefoot Dash still holding off and fending off trap 5. New Level going away now is Barefoot Dash, 3 lengths clear. Barefoot Dash wins it in the end from New Level in the second. It was tight for third.
Well, Barefoot Dash just proving too strong for the former Harry Williams trained New Level, winning in 30.60, identical to the second heat, winning distance 2 lengths. On now to the final. You expect it pretty tight as far as the timings were going, and as far as the betting was going, it was tight as well. List Glass Lass was made slight favourite, 5-2. Daly's Dennis, could he improve after that run? He could have needed it. He was second best in the market at 3-1, and Barefoot Dash, perfectly drawn in trap 1, was 7-2.
Away we go, and racing up towards the first bend, and first to strike for gold. Trap 4, Trade Union, being pressed by 5, Liz Glass Lass to go around the first bend. Not much between Trade Union and Liz Glass Lass. Heading down the far side, and it's still Trade Union with a length lead over Liz Glass Lass. Daly's Dennis racing in third. The rest are still to try and get in the race. They approach the second last bend, and Trade Union still has the call. Liz Glass Lass just checked up slightly behind, but coming to challenge on the outside. But Trade Union fending off Liz Glass Lass as they come up towards the line. It's Trade Union, Liz Glass Lass. Good ding-dong battle, but Trade Union poaches a length there. Trade Union wins it by about a length from Liz Glass Lass in second, and back in third was Daly's Dennis.
Well, a very gutsy performance there by Trade Union. I don't know why the RSTV stopped it on the line, but anyway, they did. A good race to watch. 30.59 the winning time. List Glass Lass seemed to have every chance. Daly's Dennis slightly crowded at the second bend and didn't like going into the third bend again. That could be a problem for him at Shelbourne. Let's have a look now at the consolation final. So often consolation finals are running quicker times than the final themselves, and this was the case here. It was the even money favourite, heavily backed on the night, Barefoot Racer, but was to register the fast time.
Away we go, and racing up towards the first bend, and away very fast is Barefoot Racer, well backed here for this consolation race. Barefoot Racer goes round in front from 1, Lodgefield Gold. Bit of shimmying behind as they go down the far side, and Barefoot Racer still has the length lead over 1, Lodgefield Gold in second. A further 3 lengths back to Halton Dancer, racing in third as they go round the second last bend, and now Barefoot Racer's quickened up to go 3 lengths clear from Lodgefield Gold and Halton Dancer off the final turn, and Barefoot Racer just coming home with a 3 length advantage. Barefoot Racer is going to win this one in the end from Lodgefield Gold in second. It was quite close for third.
Well, those who had gambled their money on Barefoot Racer never had any worries, and he won it comfortably indeed from Lodgefield Gold. And Market Rascal became third. Last year's Laurels winner was third. 30.45 the time, quicker than the final. We can now see another race which ends in a very fast time as well. I can't tell you much about the dogs, I'm afraid. I haven't got the Irish form card in front of me, but I thought it's worth bringing you this race just in case this dog in trap 4, named Can't Be Serious, comes over to England. It's a very impressive run, 5.25 yards, and a winning time of 29.07 is one to be noted indeed. There he is in trap 4, Can't Be Serious. Shades of Rossi is chasing him home in trap 6. He's not going to get anywhere near Can't Be Serious, as he goes on to register a 29.07 time at Shelbourne Park. Keep an eye out for that name. Obviously, it could have changed its name. Look in the NGRC calendar for that. That's Can't Be Serious. Some more Irish action for you now. £3,000 final at Tralee. The first time Tralee's featured on the Greyhound Month. Welcome to the video. The Paddy Byrne Memorial Final. Favourite here in trap 5, Anne's Express.
Away they go and racing up towards the first bend. Trap 1, Rahela Tommy out in front from 6 Bang up on the outside. Then comes 3 who's badly balked at that bend as they go down the far side now. And Bang goes on with a bang. Bang leading from Raheli Tommy, who's been taken on by 5 Anne's Express. They approach the second last bend and it's still up front. 6 Bang has the call over Anne's Express looming up on the outside. They're clear from the rest. They come around the final turn. Anne's Express on the outside just has the measure now of Bang racing in third and finishing really fast in Trap 2. Numbers in Swift, but up the line it was Anne's Express who won it in the end. Close for second, Bang, and Numbers in Swift.
That was a strong run there, but a favourite in trouble at the first bend was Anne's Express, but runs on to win it by a length from Bang. Numbers in Swift, that one looks like he's got a career over 6 bends. Well, let's stay in Ireland and look at another track we haven't featured on this tape before, Limerick, a very tough testing track. The dog to watch for here is Trap 5, Turbulent Sea, nicely named animal. He's by Karen's Champ, the 88 Derby Consolation winner at Wimbledon, out of a bitch called Liquid Asset. And he's going to go on to register at 29.57. That's a tough track to run, Limerick. It's a very stiff 525 yards, and that's a good time here. And 29.57 for Turbulent Sea, beating the Trap 2 runner Broadford Point. It looks a nice track as well, Limerick. It's well worth a visit if you're over in Ireland soon. Back now to Shawfield in Scotland, in Glasgow, for the heats of the Parkland St Mungo Cup. But it looked all like a benefit for the Irish as Fraser Black brought over 2 dogs. Carlaway Dancer featured in the first heat and was made the 7-4 favourite. Brighton Cheeky, that's got a lot of early pace, was in Trap 1.
Away we go and racing up towards the first bend. And Trap 4, Carlaway Dancer, well away, up on the outside. Trap 1 trying to get in the action, Brighton Cheeky as they go around the first 2 bends. And it's Carlaway Dancer has been joined now by Brighton Cheeky, heading down the far side, racing in third at the moment in Trap 6. That's Rufus Gamble, approaching the second last bend, and now Brighton Cheeky goes on. So Brighton Cheeky out in front, from up on the outside, Carlaway Dancer plugging on again on the outside, and Carlaway Dancer takes up the lead. So Carlaway Dancer goes on, finishing very fast indeed. That's Crack of the Ash, but Carlaway Dancer win this one from Crack of the Ash in second.
So Carlaway Dancer wins it by a length of the quarter from Crack of the Ash. Brighton Cheeky, who showed up for a long way, faded to finish third, but did qualify for the final. 30.26, the winning time. On now to the second heat. Favourite here, Lady Heidi. We featured her last month here on the Greyhound month. Looks like she's got a future ahead of her, and she was made 5-4 favourite. However, Fraser Black's other dog he brought over for the competition, Tartan Ted, was also well supported in Trap 5.
Away they go, and missing the break is 6 Bridges Delight as they come up towards the bend, but that one's showing some good early pace to dispute the lead round that turn. And Trap 2, Lady Heidi, the favourite, suffered at the back of the pack there as they go down the far side, and racing down there is now Trap 1 who's taken up the lead. Del Monte Gel out in front, making up giant ground is Tartan Ted into the second last bend, but Del Monte Gel out in front from Tartan Ted, who's coming to challenge, switching for the outside as they come off the final bend. Del Monte Gel, but here comes Tartan Ted. Tartan Ted's just going to get there in a driving finish. Tartan Ted from Del Monte Gel.
So a very strong finish there by Tartan Ted. No chance for the jolly Lady Heidi at the first bend after awful trouble. 30.76 for time. So a double for Fraser Black in the heats. How can he improve on that? Well, maybe get first and second in the final. And the betting said that he would. Even money, Carlaway Dancer in Trap 4. And Tartan Ted next best at 4-1. Del Monte Gel was next in the market. The perfect Trap 1 draw.
Away we go then, and Trap 4, Carlaway Dancer gets a flyer from the boxes to lead early as they go around the first bend. Carlaway Dancer still has this 2.5 length lead over Trap 2 racing in second. That's Brighton Cheeky as they head down the far side. Then Carlaway Dancer leading from Brighton Cheeky. Get back to the rest who are headed by Trap 6, Bridges Delight as they go round the second last bend. But Carlaway Dancer, who stayed so well in the heats, is not going to be caught here. So they come off the final bend. Carlaway Dancer well clear. They're beginning to bunch up for second, running on into second. Tartan Ted in 3, and close for third. Crack of the Ash running on also for third.
Well, Fraser did it. A 1-2 in the St Mungo Cup final. Carlaway Dancer wins it. Tartan Ted second. 30.06 for time. And a very good journey home, I'm sure, for Fraser Black back to Ireland. Now let's see if Lady Heidi, who also ran on the final of the St Mungo Cup night at Shawfield, can make up some amends anyway for her defeat in the heat. She's in Trap 5 and was made the 6-4 on favourite.
Away they go and racing up towards the first bend. Dud Note in 2 and Lady Heidi in 5, but Lady Heidi's got pace to burn into the first bend to go round some 2.5 lengths clear as they go down the far side then. 5, Lady Heidi out in front from 4, Alan Supreme racing in second. Going down the far side, and Lady Heidi stretching out really well at the moment as they approach the second last bend. She's some 4, maybe 5 lengths clear. Alan Supreme being picked off for second as they come off the final bend. Only one winner here. It's going to be Lady Heidi gaining some compensation. The odds-on Jolly wins this one. Trap 5, Lady Heidi wins it, quite close for second in the end behind Greenwell Bull and Alan Supreme.
Well, when she breaks, Lady Heidi's very impressive, isn't she? 30 dead, quicker than the Carloway Dancer, and assuming the seasonal rest doesn't interfere, 1 for the Oaks. Here's more from Geoffrey Thomas.
Geoffrey, what's the official view from the NGRC now we've had the first summer of the evening opening of betting shops? Has it been as bad as first thought for the greyhound industry?
Certainly from the half-yearly totalisator and attendance figures that we produced, it was possible to put 2 different interpretations upon that. Some people might say that things have steadily declined and the betting shops might not have played such a role in that. Others would actually definitely point and say, well, a lot of this decline is due to the betting shops, particularly in London. What we do know is that we're collecting monthly figures from now on, and certainly the figures for July make quite bleak reading. We've compared July 92 with July 93, and again, particularly in London, there is a marked downturn in both attendances and totalisator turnover. It's up to us to try and decide exactly what effect betting shops is having within that.
Okay, with that in mind, what are the steps forward now for the sport? Where's greyhound racing going to be, let's say, in the year 2003?
I'm absolutely convinced we're at a crossroads. There is a way forward, the way forward that is shown by racecourses like Peterborough, whose turnover keeps on increasing, whose attendances keeps on increasing, the kind of package that's offered at a place like Hall Green, which is still a real treat to go greyhound racing. We are at a crossroads. We're competing both for the leisure pound and for the gambling pound. You need a separate strategy to compete for the gambling pound, a separate strategy for the leisure pound. Clearly, the way the industry is talking about marketing the whole industry at the moment is absolutely crucial, and I think it's on that area that we must look to work harder.
So more marketing, more television coverage perhaps?
Absolutely. I mean, when television features, whether it's the Greyhound Derby final, whether it's the thing that we've got going at Catford this week, whether it's the TV trophy, it sets everybody in the sport alight. There's a feeling of privilege of actually just being there, and it would be very nice to think that greyhound racing could be more regularly featured on television, whether those might be an opportunity to feature our inter-track competition, whether there might be possible regional things like we're doing at Catford, maybe up in Tyne Tees area having an inter-track versus Middlesbrough versus Sunderland versus, Brough Park, or whether it might actually be featuring regular graded racing. All are possibilities, and it would be nice to think we could go down that route.
Yes, and all of us here at Greyhound Videos, Geoffrey, echo your sentiments. Let's hope there's more televised greyhound racing soon. Well, a couple of bonus races for you, a couple of hurdle races, and this is almost like a rematch of the hurdle on Derby final night at Wimbledon, where Ring Patriot beat Latin Major in a good finish, and Ring Patriot was made 5-2 favourite here, and Latin Major sent off a rather large-looking 7-1.
Away we go and racing up towards the first. Oh, gives a smile and all sorts of problems there. Leaving the boxes, got clouted by 2 and 4. Latin Major took full advantage of that to lead in the early exchanges then as they go down the far side. And it's Latin Major out in front. From racing in second is Trap 5 Windsor Grove. Over the next, and Latin Major surely got this one safely wrapped up. Windsor Grove more of a stayer and may take a bit of time to get going. But Latin Major still with a 3-length lead. Here comes Windsor Grove though, trying to peg back Latin Major. Jumping the last. Latin Major jumps it well. 2 lengths clear. Windsor Grove a second. Gives a smile, ran well to take third.
Yes, he did run well to get the third position, but Latin Major had the early pace when it mattered at the first bend to win it in 28.23. Windsor Grove was second, but bad news for Latin Major. Since then, he's since injured a wrist and will not race again. Well, another dog with injury problems recently is Arthur Daly, the Springbok and national winner. Wouldn't have been allowed to start at 3-1 in this race at Walthamstow had he been fully fit, but he's on a comeback trail now. Donny's Chimes was made the 6-5 favourite in Trap 6.
Away they go, and oh, trouble there for Arthur Daly in 3, jumping the first, and away well is Springville Beam in 4, and also up with the pace on the outside is 6, Donny's Chimes. These two go on from 1, which is Oyster Duke, heading down the far side, and it's now 6, Donny's Chimes. Just out jumping there, Springville Beam, but that one's showing good pace into that penultimate bend, and Springville Beam goes on now, but still up there on the outside is Donny's Chimes. Heavenly Duke staying on from the rear. Springville Beam, here comes Heavenly Duke, but Springville Beam last home from Heavenly Duke, and Donny's Chimes in a photo finish for 2nd place.
He's a consistent dog, isn't he, Springville Beam? Must be a delight to own. But poor old Arthur Daly, let's hope he gets a bit of a clear run soon and able to work off that old injury he's had.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed the July issue of the Greyhound Month. Some forthright views there from Geoffrey Thomas, and hopefully there's a brighter future for the sport to come for the rest of 1993 and 1994. Well, why not enjoy another issue of the Greyhound Month for August? We'll be going to somewhere a bit more rural than this city life. Join us then.